Right, one's the religious aspect
Right.
of it, and then one's the science. Yeah, but my point is, I don't think anything is ruled as law, is it? Is any of that stuff obligatory to believe in as a Jewish person? Or
No,
are we?
we really don't have to believe in much, in anything really, because the Rambam's 13 principles are just opinion. There's rabbis like the Radbaz who believe that you don't have to believe in anything in Judaism as long as you keep the commandments. Another rabbi, Rav Yosef Albo, which is the author of Sefer HaIkarim, and he says that a Jew only has to believe in three things. I believe it's in God, prophecy. I don't remember what the third thing was. And then the Rambam's opinion is 13 things. But by the simple fact that they all disagree, it means that nobody knows, that it's not a solid idea that the God of Israel expects you to believe in anything but him, plus keep the laws. That's it. But nowadays in Judaism, people walk around shunning other people just because they happen to believe differently than they do. I mean, I don't really care what you believe as long as you behave like a decent human being. But the catch-22 is, huh?
Do you think that's why Jewish people throughout history have been sophisticated? Why
No.
Let me finish my point. Well, hold on. We always been the front runners of medicine and science, mathematics. We always been in the universities and the study halls wanting to know the truth of these things. I guess my question would be, since Judaism doesn't mandate someone to believe, so that therefore it's easier for us to explore truths.
No, I'll tell you why. Because whenever I speak about what Judaism teaches, I'm going back to the source. Do you know almost any Orthodox Jew who views Judaism like that? The vast majority of religious Jews view religion very similar to how Muslims and Christians view religion, which is basically do a lot of extra stuff to get into heaven and condemn anyone who thinks differently than they do. Now, all these doctors in the Jewish world, the Nobel Prize winners, are not religious Jews. These are secular Jews. It's rare that you find someone in the name of religion who tries to better the world through secular means. All these big philanthropists, even the communists thought that they were redoing society to make the world a better place, all in the name of secularism.
But that wasn't always the case. Some of the greatest sages of Judaism, other than being converts, which is a beautiful thing in of it itself, some of the greatest sages of Judaism, not only were they converts, but these were some of the most brilliant minds they were some of the most brilliant doctors of their day. They were physicians to private kings, emperors.
All these individuals are over-embellished in these legends. Many rabbis who attack Art Scroll for the exaggeration that they actually lie to make rabbis seem almost infallible. It's like every time we kill a dictator, 10 years after the event, they'll place the person's death on Purim just on purpose. And then you look back and it's not true, but people keep on repeating the lie so much that it becomes true. I don't believe in none of that stuff. But that the Jews are so smart, that the Rambam was the best doctor. Of course, they're decent doctors. I mean, have you read the Talmud? I mean, these guys believed that the earth was flat. I'm not saying that they were dumb.
Well, let me just follow up with my question, though. But that doesn't really answer the point that the Jewish people have always been. How can I put this? They've gone with the flow. Whatever the new science have said of that day, they were able to adapt to it simply because they weren't technically. It used to be this way. I guess what you're saying. There was no dogmatic attachment to it. It seems like today rabbinical Judaism.
No, even in the Talmud,
everything's dogmatic.
In the Talmud.
Oh, you're saying the Talmud is even like that?
For sure. But there's a lot of weird mystical ideas in the Talmud. The question is, if there was a Sanhedrin, would they adjudicate you for believing or not believing this? That's what it boils down to, that the court won't hold you liable for what you believe, just how you behave. However, rabbis throughout history, judges, people had their students. It taught, like the students of Hillel would basically kill the students of Shammai in the streets. There was always groups and cliques, but it's pretty bad nowadays. Just because if you think differently, well, they wouldn't even consider you an Israelite, a Hebrew nowadays, a Jew. And they're quick to call you idolater and heretic. All these things have a death penalty attached to it. I know when Tovia Singer and all these guys give over Jewish history, they teach it in an exaggerated way. I don't over-embellish the notion that it's not religious Jews who are performing heart surgery and donating millions of dollars to the Philharmonic. These are usually atheistical Jews, people who don't believe in God. That doesn't really speak well for the Torah. If anything speaks well for the Torah and Jews carrying the Torah until now is America. Any society built off of biblical values. To a certain extent, I mean, America is already detaching itself from biblical values. In Europe, they are the victim of what's called cut flower ethics. The reason that places like Sweden and Norway aren't completely atheist today is because 100, 200 years ago, they were completely religious. So the remnants, it's still there. It's easy to claim to be an ethical atheist when your grandparents were religious. But I think come the next generation, we're going to see what happened in the Soviet Union when they try to reinvent the wheel ethically, that they're either going to be taken over by Islam or they're just not going to reproduce enough to stay in the game. I don't exaggerate Jews and Judaism. I know that there's many rabbis who do out there, but I don't think it helps because many people who are inquisitive look it up, and when they realize it's BS, they fall further. It's the same thing with like the Bible codes. You know how many of these rabbis went on campuses saying, oh, the Bible is revealing to us things that are going to happen and this and that. And so many people became religious on that story. And then in Israel, they took Moby Dick and they ran it through the same computer program and got very similar prophecies. And there's so many people who dropped religion because of that. I think that the only reason someone should want to follow a good God is because it makes the world a better place. And that's it. Not that the Jews are so special, this and that. I don't think the Jews have been so special just because if they were sophisticated, they kept it to themselves. That's really unbecoming of a decent person. And I'm Jewish. I'm not born Jewish. I converted to Judaism 20 years ago. I just try to call things like I see them. And when it comes to religion, I mean, I just try to be very honest. And I think that people who come to religion on that basis stay instead of people who are just sold a bunch of lies. But yeah.
Will, you had something to go on? Thank you for that, Rabbi. Thank you.